64,000 is the median number of words per book. Average person reads about 200 words per minute. Simple math will tell us that is one book in 320 minutes. To accomplish this in 7 days, numbers say you would have to read for 45 minutes a day. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification button, like, comment, and share. Enjoy.
Hello, and happy day. How does slowing down sound to you today? Would you like to reduce the noise for just a bit? Are you ready to make a choice and decide to listen? My name is Igor SF Walker. I am here to remind people to slow down, to reduce the noise, to walk their lives into a natural flow. Welcome back to the Book of the Week series. Every week as I read another amazing title, I share it with the world. And today we look at Shift into Freedom, the science and practice of open-hearted awareness by Loch Kelly. In this video, we discover these simple steps: unhook, drop, open, see, include, know, and let be. We open up to the possibility that awakening can be the natural next stage of human development. Awakening is not a rare event limited to those who leave for the monastery or cave. We look at different levels of mind, of identification, and effective experiential tools for unhooking awareness from our chattery minds and dropping into our awake heart space, expanding our sense of intimacy and inner connection, and embodying inner peace, clarity, and love. Stick around till the end. I will share with you some tools I have and use that will help you tremendously in this game of life. Discover a way to find out what actually motivates you, what innate human need is driving all of your decisions and all of your behavior. I will share some tools to improve your self-awareness, your social awareness, your self-management, and relationship management. Shift into Freedom is a synthesis of ancient wisdom of modern psychology and current neuroscience research. This is not a psychological or religious approach, but an adult education way of learning the map and tools to transform your own consciousness. The unique premise is that well-being is not found by calming the mind, changing our thoughts, or adjusting our attitudes, but by actually shifting into a level of mind that is already calm and alert. The middle way is that a series of direct recognitions can lead to a gradual unfolding with steps and stages. Awakening is not too difficult if you are interested and if you're motivated. It is like learning to read and write. We all have the capacity to awaken. The goal of the open-hearted awareness approach to awakening and growing up is not showing you how to transcend or escape the human condition, but helping you discover how to live a fully intimate human life. To do this, you will first develop the capacity to see things as they really are. This includes both the positive qualities as well as the capacity to see the truth of how we have been creating suffering for ourselves and for others. Learning how to employ awareness to navigate, to shift, and reconfigure your consciousness is the key to your freedom and your happiness. To learn the open-hearted awareness approach to awakening, you will enter a new way of learning and unlearning. And you do need to make this a daily habit to gain the most benefits. If you enter with a beginner's mind, an open heart, I trust you will find that the experience of freedom and love will become your motivation. Awakening is a shift of our identity. and also a shift of our way of knowing. Awake awareness is the essence of both our ground of being and the source of our mind. This transformation is a simple shift of awake awareness from the background of our consciousness to the foreground. Because we are in the habit of focusing on fast-moving thoughts and strong emotions and seeking happiness outside ourselves, we do not notice awake awareness. Our current constellation of consciousness restricts our perception of our wholeness. Awakening does not begin by changing our belief system or improving our external circumstances. Awakening begins with shifting out of the way we organize our current mind and our identity, which is creating ignorance and confusion. We can learn how to shift out of our thought-based mind and into an awareness-based way of knowing. Then from awareness-based knowing, we can embody, connect, and welcome all the experiences. This awareness-based knowing feeling is similar to a feeling of being in the state, in the flow, being in the zone, being in love, doing selfless service, or laughing with close friends. It is being so fully alive in the now that you forget yourself. Living from this base of knowing gives us true freedom of choice. Awake awareness is always already there, and it is only a matter of learning how to directly access it. One of the most important things to learn is how to separate awareness from thinking. And then we can see that thoughts and emotions are not the center of who we are. That which is aware of fear is not fearful. The main obstacle to relief from suffering is our current identity, what Einstein called our optical delusion of consciousness. Paradoxically, the same identity is trying to solve the problem of our suffering. This identity seems very real, as if it is a separate self that feels located in our heads. Both ancient wisdom and modern neuroscience now agree that there is no physical location of a separate self that can be found in the brain. Ego identification is a mental pattern of consciousness that creates the feeling of a mini-me inside our heads. It doesn't have to be fought, repressed, extinguished, denied, or killed. We do not become a nobody, or an angel, or a couch potato. Instead, when we discover awake awareness as our true nature, our ego functions can return to their natural roles and semi-retire from their second job as identity. One of the main reasons we do not awaken is because we have not solved yet this paradox of how only awareness can know awareness. The question then arises, if we are not operating from awareness now, how do we access the awareness that can know awake awareness? Local awareness is like a radio tuner or a TV remote that can intentionally shift us to different bandwidths of consciousness. Local awareness can tune away from the narrow mental ego identified station that is the everyday mind, and then tune into the station of the body's senses. Local awareness can also tune into spacious awareness, the expression of awake awareness that is unconditioned, boundless, pure awareness, where mind is like a TV or a radio with lots of stations playing all at once. Many of us are tuned into the thinking channel all day long, And most of those programs are talk shows. We don't realize that there is a tuner that will allow us to change the channel. Once we discover open-hearted awareness, we no longer have to live in the office cubicle of our head. Instead, we can stay at home in our heart and be connected to the information we need in our brain to open-hearted awareness Wi-Fi. The goal is not to escape the normal issues and choices in your daily life, but to shift out of the mistaken problem solver identity. When you do make that shift and discover awake awareness as the ground of being, you will have fewer troubles and can more easily solve daily challenges when you are ready. With open or closed eyes, say this question to yourself internally. What is here now if there is no problem to solve? Now rest and remain alert to who or what is experiencing. Who is there? What is aware? What is here when there's nowhere to go and nothing to do, nothing to know or create or become? What is here just now when you are not the problem solver? Next. Feel into whatever shows up here and now. Who or what is aware? What is here when there is no referencing the past, no going one moment into the future, when you are not settling into sleep and not going up to thought? What's here now? What is it like when there is no problem to solve just now? What do you notice? What is absent? What essential qualities are revealed? Take a breath and pause. Then ask with the beginner's mind and curiosity, what is here now if there is no problem to solve? The everyday mind needs an object to remain central. When awareness looks to space, we are then free of the everyday mind. Ego identification needs to look to thought, and then from thought to create a subject. When awareness makes awareness its subject and object, there's no longer a subject self that is made of thought. Awake awareness has become the primary way of knowing and the ground of being. One way to understand the process of direct recognition and gradual unfolding is to break it into stages. Recognition, realization, stabilization, and expression. Recognition is our first glimpse of awake awareness. Realization is an identity shift when we come to understand that we are looking from awake awareness, which has become our ground of being. Stabilization begins when awake awareness is our primary way of knowing. Expression occurs when we have discovered open-hearted awareness and rewired our brains to create and to relate from here. The open-hearted awareness approach goes directly to the root of our suffering and reveals the absence of self and the presence of natural positive qualities. The shift into awake awareness is a shift into a whole new way of knowing and being. With the initial shift away from the everyday mind comes a not knowing. With the first taste of not knowing, there's tremendous freedom from controlling, from resisting, from judging, and checking in with thinking every moment. But not knowing isn't the culmination of the process. Not knowing is the gap or the bridge that leads to a new way of knowing. that is very, very different. A kind of not knowing that actually knows. The not knowing is freedom from ego identification, while the not knowing that knows is perhaps the most important element for stabilization and for expression. Learning how to shift into awake awareness is not an intellectual or conceptual learning process. You can only truly know awake awareness when you have shifted into it and you know from it. The most important thing is not just the initial pointing out of awake awareness, but to train to remain. We all long for freedom. But real freedom is not a quality you gain. It is who you already are. Freedom arises from a deep sense of well-being that does not depend on any life circumstances. However, even when you've tasted real freedom, most of us cannot figure out how to intentionally return to it. What is missing from our approach is not the willingness, is not the intellectual understanding or even the effort, but the means to shift out of the confusion that causes our suffering and into the new way of being. The next step is learning which dimension to intentionally shift into. You don't need to leave the room and meditate for half an hour in the middle of your work day or during a social gathering to discover the peace of mind that is already here within. Local awareness is one of awake awareness's 4 modes of expression, along with spacious awareness, awake awareness embodied, and open-hearted awareness. Local awareness is the vehicle that is already here and can take us home. The 5 senses can only know what they're designed to know. Thinking is not designed to know awareness either. In order to find awake awareness, we must learn how to unhook local awareness from conceptual thought. In this way, we discover that local awareness can shift into and know awake awareness. The second expression of awake awareness is spacious awareness, which is timeless, boundless, changeless, contentless, formless, and knowing. This is our ground of being, the source of our identity. And then the third expression is called awake awareness embodied or presence, which is the realization of non-duality when formless, spacious awareness realizes that it is also form. Spacious awareness is innate within the body, the way the atoms are within the molecules and then the spaces within the every atom. Presence recognizes that the atoms, molecules, and our bodies are a unified expression of awake awareness. The fourth expression of awake awareness is open-hearted awareness, which knows through unconditional love, interconnectedness with all things, and relationship with others. From open-hearted awareness, we have the capacity to be creative and to be compassionate. It is important to remember that spacious awareness, local awareness, awake awareness embodied, and open-hearted awareness are not 4 separate things. They are all different expressions of awake awareness. Once you do learn how to unhook and move local awareness, you will be able to navigate through the different levels of mind. Once you learn to shift, you will discover the positive natural qualities that are always available within you. In fact, you may not understand how to do it, even when you do unhook and move local awareness. It is like balancing on a bicycle. You get a feel for it, and then you practice it until you develop trust that you can do it again. The simplest way to answer all questions about how to relieve the root of all suffering is shift. This includes questions like, what should I do about this issue or situation in my life? How do I deal with this difficult relationship? How do I become more accepting, peaceful, and loving? Anytime you mistake a self-image, an emotion, or a belief for who you are, you need to shift and relocate your identity. You're not just shifting out of the problem. You're shifting into that which sees the situation differently. Once you do shift, the answers will come from within you. Thinking positive thoughts or being more accepting may help us temporarily deal with difficult emotions, but we're still working in the realm of ego identification and the everyday mind. We've all heard the saying, seeing is believing, but our beliefs create how we see. In other words, our perspectives influence our perceptions. Locations matter. Where are you viewing from? From which level of mind are you looking? Contrary to popular belief, relief from suffering is not achieved by changing the thoughts, emotions, and situations that arise. Instead, relief is directly related to the level of mind from which we experience these. Ask yourself this question about any thoughts, feelings, beliefs, judgments, worries, fears that arise. Who or what are these experiences arising to? Everyday mind is experienced as sense perception, thoughts and emotions. Everyday mind looks from thoughts and ego functions to create ego identification in a subject versus object dualistic split that obscures the subtler levels of mind. Everyday mind uses attention and self-awareness to focus. Subtle mind is experienced as the ability to step back from everyday mind and be located in mindful awareness. The meditator or the observing ego, subtle mind, looks from a mindful witness of thoughts, feelings, and sensations as the contents of our experience arise and pass. Subtle mind uses mindful awareness and subtle body awareness to focus. Awake, aware mind knows itself as timeless, formless, changeless, contentless, spacious awareness. Awake, aware mind looks from a big sky witness of spacious awareness to see the subtle mind and everyday mind as well as the world. Awake, aware mind is already here and aware by itself. So when we look from it, we are using effortless mindfulness. Simultaneous mind experiences ultimate reality and relative reality at the same time. The ocean of awake awareness experiences all energy and form as its own waves. We feel spacious and pervasive, boundless freedom, and awake awareness is embodied as an interconnected presence while being capable of perceiving each previous level of consciousness. Simultaneous mind looks from unity consciousness, and the non-dual awareness is knowing from within our consciousness while not becoming ego identified. And heart mind is free of the location of any particular witnessing self. In this level of mind, we feel connected and protected, vulnerable. Heart mindfulness looks from our ground of being, which is now operating from open-hearted awareness, a wisdom-based, loving intelligence that feels boundless, interconnected, and fully human. Scientific research operates through a three-part method. The first part is to objectively observe items of study. The second is to create a thesis and conclusions based on these observable phenomena. And the third is to develop a hypothesis and experiments that test these conclusions. Awakening is not part of any one tradition, and it does not reveal any specific religious doctrine. Awakening and awake awareness are part of the human lineage we all share. Everyone can experience awakening and awake awareness while maintaining his or her own beliefs, philosophy, and theology. You don't have to join any religion or leave your current one in order to awaken. Awakening is part art, part science, and a good deal of mystery. The type of suffering that we are addressing in the open-hearted awareness approach is not caused by identifying with negative thoughts, but by identifying with any thoughts, positive or negative. You are not the voices in your head. The automatic thoughts you hear are not you talking. You're not even the second voice that comments on the first thought. You start by listening to the thoughts, then you believe the thoughts, and then you believe the thoughts are you. It is important that you directly experience that you are primarily the awareness that hears all voices and thoughts. Life is a teacher, and we can learn as much from mistakes, difficulties, and disappointments as success. During this process, it is important to recognize that doubt is a discriminating tool of thought. For instance, I'm not sure that awareness is unhooked from thought. Let me try again. We do not want to suspend this kind of doubt, open-minded investigation, or curiosity, but we do want to be aware of another kind of doubt that can become an identity, often making people abandon their awakening process. This doubt whispers, everyone else seems to be getting this, I never will. Might as well not try. This sort of doubt is a sign you are back in ego identification or a doubter subpersonality from open-hearted awareness. You begin to hear this doubter voice and then you respond with, thanks for sharing. Then all thoughts, feelings, and parts of yourself are welcomed. And there you have it. Shift into freedom, the science and practice of open-hearted awareness. Please do help out. It is easy. Simply like this video so more people can enjoy it. Share it too and spread the word. Leave a comment and share your thoughts. Subscribe to my channel and stay up to date. And the link to this book is in the description below, so buy it and read. Never stop learning, especially learning about yourself and nature. So gift yourself by taking the free human needs test on my website and find out what actually motivates you. What innate human need is driving all of your decisions and all of your behavior. And if you feel you are ready to improve your self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, and relationship management even further, do check out my Master of Life Awareness program. The links are in the description below. Thank you. Love and respect.